Hollywood actor Bradley Cooper has faced online criticism for wearing a prosthetic nose to play the late conductor and composer Leonard Bernstein in his latest film Maestro. The backlash came after Netflix released the first trailer to the romantic biographical drama, which is also directed and written by Bradley Cooper. Critics are calling it a classic case of Jew-face, and it's not the first of its kind that Hollywood has seen. Dvir Abramovich is a chairman of the Anti-Defamation Commission and a Jewish studies academic, columnist and editor based in Melbourne. He says the idea of wearing a prosthetic nose to look like a Jew has always been problematic. Good morning. Thank you for having a chat with us. Why do you think it is problematic for someone who is not Jewish to put on a nose to play the role of someone who's Jewish?
Good morning, Jonathan. Good to be with you. First of all, I want to make it very clear that Bradley Cooper is not anti-Semitic. The film is not anti-Semitic. It's important to mention that Bernstein's children, Jamie, Alexander, and Nina, have come to Cooper's defense, and they have said that they think this issue is this generous attempt to bring a successful person down, and they've backed him all the way. But I think context is paramount here, and it's important to remember that this idea of a large Jewish nose was really part of the Nazi propaganda. In fact, it goes back to 1903, to the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, which is one of the most notorious anti-Semitic forgeries. And here you see the idea of the Jewish banker, and the Jewish banker is depicted as a grotesque fat man with a cigar and a hook nose. And this was really amplified in the 1930s through traditional Nazi propaganda. And they would usually employ images of Jews with hook noses and other undesirable characteristics. And the idea was to inflame hatred and distrust of the Jewish communities. So this idea of the Jewish nose is quite enduring. And I think when commentators saw the prosthetic nose on Cooper, it brought to the surface the old stereotypes and the old fears about what it means to be a Jew.
Well, Leonard Bernstein was of Jewish background. He was born to Ukrainian parents who migrated to the United States. This film, Maestro, is based on his romantic relationship, so that relationship that he had with his lifelong wife, Felicia. And critics have taken offence to the way that Bradley Cooper played that role, and also that he doesn't have any religious or ethnic relations to Judaism. Is that fair?
Well, I've heard the criticism that you've got a white, non-Jewish actor playing a Jewish person who also happens to be gay. The question here comes down to authenticity. And if you are portraying a character whose Jewishness is their whole being, then you have to start wondering about the idea of lived experience. And maybe Jewish parts should be played by Jewish actors. Because I think the whole issue of representation in film has sparked debate in recent years. We do have examples of non-Jewish actors playing Jewish actors. I mean, the most recent one, of course, is Cillian Murphy in Oppenheimer. But I think the question is whether the Jewishness of the role is essential and fundamental. Because the idea is that if you're going to portray a Jewish person and their identity, can you cast a non-Jewish actor? Because then one of the problems is that that particular actor may start mimicking, or may start impersonating, or may start, in a sense, trying to reduce the complexity of what it means to be a Jew to channeling that particular role. And I think that's problematic. In the same way that we wouldn't cast a non-Indigenous actor in the role of an Indigenous actor, or an able-bodied person in the part of a disabled part. I think the deaf actor Marley Matlin once said that deaf is not a costume. So there is an issue about casting a non-Jewish actor in a role which is principally and critically Jewish.
Well, that's I think media and pop culture expert Lauren Rosewarne from the University of Melbourne agrees with you. She reckons a Jewish actor could have been used instead, although with the Hollywood system, part of it is about the star factor and having a big star in that role. Can you understand why the creators of this movie went with Bradley Cooper?
I do, and let's also remember that Steven Spielberg is one of the producers. We do know that Jake Gyllenhaal, who's Jewish, wanted to play the part of Leonard Bernstein. To me, there's a bigger question here and a bigger debate, and that is, if we have marginalized communities, whether it is Native Indians, whether it is Africans, whether it is, for example, Asian Australians, should we be casting actors that don't understand or don't fit or have not lived that particular experience. Bradley Cooper is a wonderful actor, and I'm sure that he will do a wonderful job. I have to admit that when I saw the trailer, it did look to me a bit odd that he had this big nose. By the way, this is not the first time that we've had this controversy. In fact, in 1948, David Lean directed a version of Oliver Twist, and Alec Guinness played the part of Fagin, and he actually put a prosthetic nose. And there was tremendous backlash against it. It was deemed insensitive, and the New York Board of Rabbis that were invited to an early screening deemed the film a vehicle of blatant anti-Semitism, and in the end it was withdrawn. But we've had more and more actors who have played, for example, Jewish roles, saying that they shouldn't have played it. For example, Tamsin Greig in an interview said, "I shouldn't have been in Friday Night Dinner." This is an important debate to have in the public square. I'm certainly going to go and see the film because I love Leonard Bernstein and his music. But I think it's a debate which is important one to have.
It is. Thank you for being part of that. I do appreciate it. Dvir Abramovich, a Jewish studies academic, columnist and editor based in Melbourne. Now, as he said, though, Bernstein's three children, Jamie, Alexander and Nina, have said on social media that they helped and fully support Bradley Cooper in his role as Leonard Bernstein. So I think that has extinguished a bit of that controversy anyway. But there is still that discussion to be had there that we were talking about. There's, you know, if there is a role of someone who is Jewish, like Leonard Bernstein, should a Jewish person play them? And in the same way, if in another role, like how authentic does that actor have to be to play the role, I guess is the question. Of course, you can text on that to 0467 842 722.